President Vladimir Putin said on Monday that Russian forces could observe the USS Mount Whitney Navy command ship through binoculars or in the crosshairs of its defense systems and complained about NATO activity near Russia's borders. Russia's Black Sea naval forces practiced destroying enemy targets on Tuesday as Moscow bristled at the presence of 2 U.S. warships in the area. On Tuesday, the Black Sea Fleet said its ships had rehearsed destroying enemy targets and that their air defense systems had been put on alert at its bases in Novorossiysk and on annexed Crimea, the Interfax news agency reported. They destroyed airborne targets of a mock enemy with anti-aircraft missile weapons and artillery, it said in a statement. Russia has previously warned Western countries against sending warships to the Black Sea and approaching the coast of Crimea, the peninsula annexed from Ukraine in 2014. Russia considers Crimea part of its territory, but the peninsula is internationally recognized as part of Ukraine. The U.S. Navy said on Monday that the USS Mount Whitney had arrived in Istanbul and that it would soon join forces with other ships in the Black Sea. Following this port visit, Mount Whitney will join USS Porter, DDG-78, in the Black Sea to further enhance collaboration between U.S. and NATO forces at sea, the U.S. Navy said in a statement. The Kremlin on Tuesday rejected as a low-quality fake a U.S. media report about a Russian military buildup near Ukraine, although it said it was up to Moscow where it moved troops around on its territory. The Politico news outlet reported that commercial satellite photos taken on Monday confirmed recent reports that Russia is once again massing troops and military equipment on the border with Ukraine after a major buildup this spring. Ukraine said on Monday it had not observed any increase in Russian troops or equipment near the border. A NATO official said, NATO is vigilant and routinely monitors Russian force movements. It's important to ensure transparency and avoid any miscalculation. Russia has repeatedly accused NATO of carrying out provocative activities close to its borders. The alliance says it is determined to reinforce the security of member states close to Russia following Moscow's annexation of Crimea and its backing for pro-Russian rebels in eastern Ukraine. Following the arrest of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny on January 17, 2021, Jake Sullivan, Biden's national security advisor, stated, Mr. Navalny should be immediately released, and the perpetrators of the outrageous attack on his life must be held accountable. The Kremlin's attacks on Mr. Navalny are not just a violation of human rights, but an affront to the Russian people who want their voices heard. On the day of Biden's inauguration, Russia urged the new administration to take a more constructive approach in talks over the extension of the 2010 New START treaty, accusing the Trump administration of deliberately and intentionally dismantling international arms control agreements and attacking its counterproductive and openly aggressive approach in talks. On January 26, Biden and Putin agreed that they would extend by 5 years the New START treaty, which would otherwise have expired in February 2021. On March 17, 2021, the Russian Foreign Ministry announced that Russia had recalled its ambassador to the U.S., Anatoly Antonov, for consultations in a move that was characterized by the ministry's spokesperson as being without precedent for a Russian ambassador to the U.S. The recall came after Biden said he thought that Putin was a killer and said he would pay the price for the interference in the 2020 U.S. election, which interference was confirmed by a declassified DNI report released a day prior. The State Department commented on the recall by saying that while the U.S. would work with Russia to advance U.S. interests, they would be able to hold Russia accountable for any of their malign actions. On April 15, the U.S. announced the expulsion of 10 Russian diplomats and imposed sanctions on 6 Russian technology companies as well as 32 other individuals and entities. The new sanctions also targeted ruble-denominated sovereign debt. Nevertheless, the economic punishments were assessed by observers as more bark than bite and likely to be largely symbolic, with the ruble even rebounding against the dollar on the news. Biden commented the United States could have gone further with the sanctions, but that he had opted for a milder form of sovereign debt sanctions for now because he wanted to avoid a cycle of escalation and conflict. Russia retaliated the following day, expelling 10 U.S. diplomats and suggesting the U.S. ambassador return home for consultations. On May 19, the Biden administration lifted sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline that was being built between Russia and Germany. While Joe Biden believed the project was bad, the U.S. State Department explained it had concluded that it was in the U.S. national interest to waive the sanctions. In May 2021, Biden and Putin agreed to meet as the relationship between the countries was being assessed to be at the lowest point since the 1980s. At the meeting in Geneva in mid-June, the countries' leaders reached an agreement to return their ambassadors to their posts in each other's capitals. No progress was made in overcoming the major points of contention. On August 21, the Department of State imposed increased sanctions on Russia for the alleged poisoning of Alexei Navalny. These sanctions include a ban on ammo imports into the United States, as well as restrictions of small arms sales.